All right, breaking down this New Orleans Saints hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers matchup. Take a look at what each team needs to do to get that win. I want to start off over with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing something New Orleans Saints are not doing, and that's getting healthier. And James, I imagine that plays a big role for this Tampa team.
Absolutely. And you talked, earlier about Logan Hall and kind of the way he's played the last couple of weeks. He's matched over the last 2 weeks his career total coming into the season in sacks. He has been on another level. So, I mean, I don't know if that speaks to how poorly he played the first 2 years of his career or how great he's playing right now. I'm going to glass half full it and say it's because he's playing so great right now. But now you have the trend of Kalijah Kancey likely returning. The Bucs have not had him all season. You can go back to last year and the damage that Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea do when they are on the field together is massive. You add the additional pass rush threat of Logan Hall now as an emerging player, and all of a sudden things are opening up for Yaya Diaby, for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, for the rookie Chris Braswell. The Bucs are going to be able to bring more than the Saints are going to be able to block. And if they get Antoine Winfield Jr. back, as well as anyone, that guy can get in the backfield. He can take down quarterbacks. He can disrupt rushing attacks. He can do it all. So having those two guys back on the field, if it happens, again, it's trending in that direction. It's not official yet, but that changes everything that Todd Bowles can do defensively and how much he can just absolutely toy with the brain of Spencer Rattler in his first career start.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. That brings me to one of my keys that kind of matches up with this is that the Saints have not gotten healthier on the offensive line, right? Wednesday's practice participation report was estimated, but still no Cesar Ruiz. Eric McCoy is an injured reserve, so he ain't coming back. And then, of course, you now have Lucas Patrick, who's dealing with a chest injury as well. So that's the Saints' 3 starting interior offensive linemen that might not be, or at least one of them's not playing, right? Eric McCoy is not playing. So we'll see where things go when it comes to Patrick as well as Ruiz, but the Saints absolutely need those guys. And so the key for me in this exchange is that the Saints have to find a way to protect their young quarterback, right? To be able to give them, I don't know if it's, keeping the tight ends back, keeping the running backs back, whatever, but the more that you do that, the more your run game suffers, all these other things. And so one of the best ways that the Saints are going to be looking to alleviate some of the pressure on Spencer Rattler is by getting their run game going. Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy because we just talked about those offensive line injuries, right? We can't say that that's bad for the passing game, but that it's somehow great for the run game. No, it's not going to be easy at all. So the Saints are going to have to scheme it, right? They're going to have to get this right in terms of deploying their outside zone run, getting their blocks right, getting players where they need to get, and then hoping that you've got Alvin Kamara, who was also estimated as did not participate in practice, along with Taysom Hill, who was out last week. And the Saints have struggled to keep their offense moving without a Taysom Hill in the lineup. So you want that run game to support Spencer Rattler to help to alleviate some of the pressure that James is talking about with that sort of potentially healthier defensive pass rush there. And of course, expansive pass rush with Todd Bowles. So that would be my top key that goes right along with yours, dude.
Yeah, no doubt. And trying to block Vita Vea with 3 backup interior offensive linemen, that is nightmare fuel for Spencer Rattler. Absolute nightmare fuel. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be the biggest key for both teams, right?
Yeah.
Then you take a look at what else Tampa needs to do. I would say first and foremost, get Godwin going early and then protect the middle of the field. That is not something that they did against the Atlanta Falcons. So the offense has been at its best this season when Chris Godwin has gotten the majority of the targets and the receptions, because no team can match up with him one-on-one in the slot. He's taken advantage of that all year long and been the Bucs engine. I love that they got Mike Evans involved in the game early the last 2 weeks. First passing play, both games straight to Mike Evans. He's come away with a couple of touchdowns the last couple of weeks, but don't forget about Chris Godwin in the process and what he does for the team. He's a third down, automatic third down machine. He's as sure-handed a receiver as you're going to find, and he's the guy that's moved the chains all year long. You don't have to get cute with the offense. Just get Godwin the ball, get inside the 10 zone, and then you can throw up a jump ball to Mike Evans. You can run it with Bucky. You can find Cade Otton, but Godwin has to be the guy to keep the ball moving up and down the field.
Yeah. Man, yeah, this is gonna be such a fun game to watch. I'm like giddy. I'm excited about this. I haven't been excited about a Saints and Bucks game like this in a little while, probably since like Jameis's first game against the Bucks, right? Like, and then we saw how that ended up going with the injury and stuff like that, which is really unfortunate. But like, that was like the last time that you were really excited for a matchup like this, I think. Even I might be fading something, I don't know, but like it's
I
just
mean,
that's just the way that I feel with this one. But I'm excited
the
for it,
one
man.
in week 17 last year was, I mean, that was a must win for both. Like New Orleans had to
Yeah,
keep their playoff hopes alive with a road
right.
win, and the Bucks could have clinched the division. So that one had some serious stakes to it. And I think we were both kind of, I think I was a little bit more excited than you were because you felt
Hmm.
like New Orleans was trending down at the time, and then they gave you the hope that got a big win. But yeah, I mean this is going to be a big one because again, it's a must win for both teams, and we're saying that in week 6.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So my last two is it's great. My last two keys for this one before I keep nerding out come down to the Saints taking away the middle of the field. That's been a big issue for them so far this year. And then I kind of conflated my other two in terms of protecting Spencer Rattler and getting the run game going. So I'll add a third one here, and that's get Chris Olave involved in going in this game. You were mentioning about Chris Godwin and how clutch he's been on third downs and things like that. Chris Olave's been the same way when he's been a part of the game plan or when he has been taken out of the game plan. And so I think you got to find ways to get Chris Olave involved. You want Spencer Rattler, who can make all of these throws all around the field, to have somebody that he can rely on. And Chris Olave should be that guy. Like that should be your number one guy going out there and getting it done. So I think that would be big. But when it comes down to taking away the middle of the field, I just think that that's something that the Saints have struggled to do over the course of this season so far in the passing game. We know the matchup between Marshall Lattimore and Mike Evans is going to be mostly a perimeter matchup, but they will get mixed up in the middle of the field, of course. Lattimore has covered Mike Evans over the 12 games that they played over 61% of the time. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of opportunity and matchup between these two. But I think even beyond just that headliner of a matchup, you've got to see this New Orleans Saints defense find a way to not get torn apart by crossing routes, not get torn apart over the middle of the field, get back to what the defense was looking like earlier on in the season. Could be a tall task, but I think that that's something that New Orleans Saints have to get done. They finished as a negative EPA defense for the first time in a while up against Kansas City, but that was Kansas City. You can't let that happen again against a team that's not Kansas City. I don't care that it's the Bucs, but you got to not do it against a team that's not Kansas City. You know what I mean? So I think those are my two biggest keys here. Get two other keys, excuse me. Get Chris Olave involved, and then start to fare a little bit better against those crossing routes on defense.
Yeah, and if I'm Todd Bowles and if I'm a Bucs fan, I want to see Zion McCollum be the one on Chris Olave for the majority of this game. McCollum is one of the surprise stories, I think, that's not being talked about across the NFL. He's Pro Football Focus #1 rated corner in the league through the first 5 weeks of the season, and he has emerged as just an absolute shutdown guy. I don't trust Jamel Dean right now. I don't want him on Chris Olave. So put McCollum over there and let him handle Olave for the vast majority. Olave's going to get his. It's McCollum can't be a stone wall forever, but the damage will be far less than if you have Jamel Dean being the one trying to contain Chris Olave. And you nailed it. Same with the Bucs. Cover the middle of the field. They didn't do it against Atlanta. KJ Brandt was just absolutely made to look like a fool by Kirk Cousins. And the last time these two teams, not Kirktober. Stop with the Kirktober. It's not a thing. You go back to week 17 last year, Juwan Johnson, 90 yards and a touchdown on 8 receptions. Huge. He absolutely exploded. You can't let that happen. What's a quarterback's best friend, Ross? A pass-catching running back and a sure-handed tight end that can sit down in the middle of the field to help him get out of trouble. You can't let that happen. You got to protect that interior, and that's why I talked about KJ Brandt in these passing situations might see the sideline in favor of a Tyke Smith or a Christian Izien and somebody who's a little bit better in coverage to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that being a quarterback's best friend. You know what? It's even more so a rookie quarterback's best friend, right? To have that sort of safety valve there. So one of the things that New Orleans has struggled to do is get Chris Olave involved in a game and get tight ends involved in the same game. It's always been one or the other. So it'll be to their advantage, it sounds like, to get both of those elements going if they can. James, this was excellent. I'm so excited for this matchup. I cannot wait. And of course, you and I get to do it again to close out the season.